Okay, so Module 10 is going to be our final discussion for this term, and its coverage is going to be about basic motion tracking and adding 3D elements to IRL footage. No? So a little bit of a disclaimer first. Everything that we're going to be doing here for this discussion, we're all going to be keeping it in-house. No? Specifically, everything is going to be in 3ds Max now for the most important part like motion tracking and of course rendering our 3D elements and then incorporating it into our IRL footage, no? Now, after that, of course, kayo na ang bahala dyan kung paano nyo i-attach yung ano nyo, kung paano nyo i-edit yung overall na 3D elements nyo into your IRL footage, no? Basically, what I'm gonna be doing is at the end of our demo, I'm just gonna be showcasing how a sample na ano ba, a sample process on how you incorporate yung ano nyo, yung 3D elements nyo na ni-render nyo sa 3ds Max natin into our, of course, IRL footage, no? Everything else, no, yung process natin, I will also be discussing that as well, kung paano natin tinatrack ang basic na camera natin from our IRL footage and into our 3ds Max, no? So, and with all that said and done, let's move on to the actual setup of our demo, no? So, first things first, of course, since ang magiging main highlight ng discussion natin is, of course, incorporating IRL footage sa ating 3D elements. What we're going to be doing first, of course, is we need to source our video, no? So, in this particular case, if you're one of my students, nagpa-assignment ako sa inyo, guys. If you still remember, nagpa-assignment ako, mag-record lang kayo ng basically overall environment shot lang where you basically showcasing a certain location and then you're gonna be ang magiging goal natin doon is we're gonna be incorporating 3D elements into that IRL footage. Now, if you didn't manage to get that specific footage, that's completely fine. I already have a sample video that you can use for our demo, which is what I'm gonna be showing then as well. No, so mamili na lang kayo, and then we're gonna be moving on from there. Okay? So, assuming na kinuha nyo yung sample video ko, basically yung file type nun is an MOV file. No, it's an MOV file na kinuha ko lang siya from my iPhone, so I recorded it using my iPhone. No, now before you start incorporating 3D elements and of course adding our IRL footage dito sa ating 3ds Max, we need to take note a couple of things first. No, so number one, ang kailangan nating alamin dito is of course ano yung mga parameters ng ating video, no? So specifically, ang current parameters ng video na gamit ko is like this, no? Makakilala natin tandaan dito. Number one, ano yung resolution, no? So currently, it's 1920 by 1080. And then of course, yung frame rate natin, yung 29.97 frames per second, or if we round it up, that's going to be 30 frames per second kapag sa 3ds Max natin sa 3ds Max natin to ilalagay, no? So, in this particular case, we just need to take note of that first. And then, let's try to set this up muna sa ating 3ds Max bago natin i-set up yung overall na camera motion tracking natin. No? So, punta muna tayo sa time configuration. And then, let's just set our our settings dito. No? So, number one, 1920 by 1080, we don't really need to change it. Ang kailangan muna natin baguhin dito is, of course, yung frame rate natin. Now, by default naman, NTSC, that's 30 frames per second. So, if nag-follow yun ng 30 frames per second, we don't really need to change anything here. No. Later on, we're gonna be changing din itong itong ating start time saka end time natin dito because para sa gagamitin natin ng video for my sample, we're gonna be cutting that for a few seconds, no? Gagawin lang natin siyang 5 seconds para medyo mabilis lang din yung yung magiging demo natin, no? So, we're just gonna be keeping this for now. Wala naman tayong kailangan baguhin dito. So, let's just press OK. Kung 60 frames per second yan, baguhin nyo lang yan with custom. And then, of course, set it to 60 frames per second. Again, you just need to take note kung ano yung frame rate ng video nyo. Okay? So, once you found out your frame rate, let's go back here na dito sa ating main na viewport. And then, we're gonna be going here na dito sa ating utilities. Okay? So, this utilities, ito yung parang wrench na icon natin dito. And then dito meron tayong mga extra na mga scripts na pwede natin gamitin from 3ds Max at its base, no? In its base version. Wala tayong kailangan install dito. Everything right here, everything that you're seeing here, at kasama na siya talaga sa 3ds Max, no? So, what we're gonna be accessing is, number one, itong camera tracking. So let's just click on more here, and then we'll open up this particular window, and then search lang natin tong si camera tracker. Select nyo yan, and then let's press OK. Now, dito sa camera tracker natin dito, the purpose for this one is we're gonna be adding our IRL footage on this one, and then of course we're gonna let this specific script and basically our own our own visualization on kung paano natin itatrack yung ating camera from our footage, no? So in this particular case, dito na tayo pupunta sa movie file. So click nyo lang tong si movie file, and then you're gonna be adding your video, no? Now, if you downloaded my specific video, yung video 1 natin, again, it's a MOV file. If hinahanap nyo siya doon sa directory natin, like for example, sa akin, nakalagay lang siya sa sa desktop ko, I don't exactly see it here, no? So, in this particular case, dito na papasok yung first problem natin dito with 3ds Max and motion tracking, no? When we're gonna be incorporating video files sa 3ds Max, no? It can only choose one of two things, no? Number one, it's either a raw AVI, and number two, it's an image sequence, no? So, in this case right here, MOV file ang gamit natin. So, we can't exactly find it, no? Technically, we can find it if we try hard enough, but yeah, hindi siya magpapakita talaga, no? Kasi there's no option for us to add an MOV file, no? So, the number one thing that we really need to do now is, of course, convert natin yung MOV file natin into either an AVI na raw file or an image sequence. So, we're gonna be skipping this for now, and then bibigyan ko kayo ng konting workaround for this one using Blender, no? So, I'm gonna be pausing right here, and let's switch over to Blender. Okay, so now we switch over to Blender. It's pretty much simple, no? You don't really need to have any sort of fancy knowledge for Blender. You don't really need to learn Blender at this point because we're just gonna be using our mouse for the entirety of our Blender na portion dito, no? So, in this particular case, dito na ngayon papasok ulit yung yung parameters ng ating video, no? So again, kailangan natin dito is 1920 by 1080, and then of course we need 29.97 frames per second, no? But in this particular case here, gagawin natin two options, no? First, we're going to be converting it into an AVI, and then we're going to be converting it into an image sequence. And then, we're going to be comparing both in terms of kung ano yung mas efficient na gamitin for any project whatsoever, no? So, let's work with AVI first, no? So, in this particular case, kay Blender, once you open up Blender, punta kagad tayo dito sa top left corner natin dito. May makikita kayo ditong gray na logo ng Blender. Under that one here, ito yung editor natin, no? Ito yung editor selection natin. Click nyo itong si editor type natin, and then select natin si video sequencer, no? So, itong video sequencer, mamaya babalikan ulit natin to when we're gonna be doing a super simple na composition lang natin ng 3D footage natin and IRL footage natin, no? But more or less itong video sequencer natin, this is a video editor ng Blender natin, no? So, basically, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be adding our footage. So, let's go to add. And then, let's go to movie. No? Now, maganda naman dito sa Blender natin. Yes, pwede tayo mag-convert dito ng from MOV file to MP4 and then to AVI. No? So, super simple conversions lang naman. No? So, click natin si add again. Add and then movie tayo. It will open up this particular window. Hanapin nyo ngayon yung MOV file natin. Now, first gagawin natin, select natin itong video1.mov natin. And then what we're going to be doing next is we need to determine first kung gaano kahaba yung yung magiging footage natin dito. Because if you view it right now, as you can see right here, 17.75 seconds siya. No? Again, we're going to be shortening this particular portion muna. No? So, gawin natin dito, let's just have our starting frame be at 0 as well, no? Para di tayo malito. Gayahin na natin sa 3ds Max. Starting frame natin, gawin natin 0. And then, yung fit method naman natin dito, instead of scale to fit, we're gonna be using use original size para yung entire resolution, 1920 by 1080 ang magamit. And then, of course, make sure na naka-check yung mga ibang items natin dito. Specifically, itong use movie frame rate natin para automatic i-adjust na kagad ni Blender yung frame rate niya according dito sa frame rate ng video natin. And then, once everything is all good, click lang natin tong add movie strip. And as you see here, if I'm using my current scroll wheel, ito na yung entire clip natin dito, no? So, in this particular case, ito yung sound natin, ito yung clip, yung MP4 file na, yung ano natin, movie file natin, video file pala, I mean, no? Now, in this case right here, we also need to set first yung ano natin, starting frame natin and our ending frame, no? Again, I want to trim this here, no? Kung gusto nyo i-trim din siya prior, pwede rin naman yon. Kung gumamit kayo sa phone nyo, pwede nyo i-trim na muna doon and then saka nyo ilagay dito sa natin, sa converter natin or kay Blender, no? So in this case right here, I'm just gonna be trimming it right here, no? So ang gagawin ko, starting frame ko, select ko dito sa may timeline ko. I'm gonna be selecting 0 for my starting frame. And then let's say I want to do 5 seconds, no? So more or less 149. So 149 ending frame ko, no? So 149 is basically everything that's in this particular colored range lang dito sa video sequencer ko. Ito lang yung makukuha niya, no? Hindi niya makukuha na tong other parts natin dito. So more or less this is what I want, no? So we have a total of 150 frames at 30 frames per second. So that's a total of 5 seconds of IRL footage, no? So, in this case right here, we are pretty much good to go. Now, the only thing that we need to do now is we need to render this out. Now, of course, may konting setup tayo dyan. So, first, let's go dito sa ating render properties. Let's add now render properties. Itong output properties para natin, no? Now, dito sa output properties, itong printer icon na to, this is double check yung mga settings natin dito, okay? Resolution natin is 1920 by 1080 is exactly the same as this one, no? So, okay tayo dyan. Frame rate natin, 29.97. Again, that's all good. And then, starting frame, again, 0. Ending frame, 149. Okay, that's pretty much good, no? And then, next natin dito, sa output na directory natin dito. So, this one right here, let's just click on this specific folder. Gawa na lang tayo ng panibagong folder. Or in this case, kung meron kayong project folder, doon nyo siya ilagay, no? So, I'm just gonna be making a random folder lang dito sa desktop ko. So, barang gulo na yan. So, I'm just gonna be naming this one CGI demo. So, yan. No? So, let's say, ganyan na name yan. And then, let's accept. And then, let's just click on dito. Gawin natin dito. Let's create a new folder as well. Let's create this one as one for AVI. And then, let's create another one is one for sequence. No? So, dito natin lalagay yung AVI muna. No? So, gawin mo natin siyang AVI muna and then convert naman natin next into a image sequence. And then let's try to find out kung ano yung difference ng dalawa, no? Because there is a very big difference between these two outputs, no? So first, gawin natin select natin sa AVI and then accept tayo dyan. Okay, that's good. Now next, yung file format natin, of course, gawin natin siyang AVI, no? So dalawa yung options siya dito. Meron AVI JPEG and meron tayong AVI RAW. Now, if you're planning to use AVI for 3ds Max, ang kailangan natin dito na file type for AVI is AVI RAW. We need the raw AVI file for our video, no? Unfortunately for 3ds Max, I'm not entirely sure, but most likely ayaw niya masyado sa mga mga video files na may mga certain na codec when they are exported as a video file, no? Like for example, yung H.264 for MP4, no? So if you have a video converter that basically removes yung codec na option na yon and then just you can save it as a raw AVI file, pwede nyo gamitin yon as an alternate, no? But in this particular case, based on my testing, yung mga free na websites natin, yung mga MP4 to AVI or MOV to AVI, mga website na ganon, unfortunately, they are still using the codecs, so hindi natin sila magagamit yon, no? So, we need AVI RAW if you're planning to use AVI, no? So, select natin sa AVI RAW, and then we don't really need to change anything. We are pretty much good to go. And then, punta lang tayo dito kay render, dito sa menu bar, dito may file, edit, and then dito si render. And then, select natin tong si render animation. Now, this one should not take a little bit, this should not take a lot of time. Mabilis lang naman yan. So, there we go. It's just a couple of seconds. And then, if we view my desktop now, I just need to find yung yung folder ko. Nasaan na ba yun? Ito, CGI demo. Okay, there we go. So, open tayo sa AVI. And then, as you can see right here, ito na yung finished video natin dito, no? So, as you can see right here, this is my entire video. Okay, so that's one export done. Next naman natin is yung image sequence natin. So, let's close out of this window right here. And then balik tayo dito sa sequencer ulit. Now this time, we're gonna be changing our output folder. This time, lagay naman natin siya sa sequence, no? So, balik tayo sa desktop. And then let's go to our project folder, CGI demo, and then tayo sequence, no? So dito, I'm gonna be using this particular folder. So gawin ko accept na lang. And then, change my file format to either a PNG or JPEG, no? So, kayo na bahala dyan. PNG usually mag-okay naman na yan for Blender, no? So, hindi kahit na yan. Kahit may HDR and pamaya for tag dito, for 3D elements, okay lang PNG. So, let's just select PNG, no? Okay? So, next, again, wala naman tayong kailangan baguhin dyan. We're pretty much all good on this one. Once we set na the PNG, again, let's go to render, and then let's render animation. And just like kanina, mabilis lang rin naman to, no? So, it's just basically going to convert our entire video into an image sequence, no? And then, we're gonna be comparing the two folders kung ano yung difference nila, no? Because there is a very big difference between the two, no? So, there we go. Tapos na yung render natin dito. Let's go back to our project folder, and then we open up our sequence folder, and there we go, no? Yung video natin, yung 5 seconds na tinrim natin na video, everything is all here, no? So, we're pretty much good, no? Now, the question here na lang is, what is the big difference between the two? Which is one is better, AVI or sequence, no? So, if you're just starting out, most likely, ang magiging common na sagot nyo dito, AVI na lang kasi diretsong video na siya, no? Why not sequence? Now, sequence actually is the much better option right here for numerous purposes, no? Number one, file size, no? So, hanapin lang natin yung file size, no? So, if we hover over here, it says here 283 MB, but then again, PNG yan, no? So, this is a total of 150 frames or 150 images, and then total size niyan is 283 MB. However, for AVI, while yes, isang file lang siya, tingnan nyo yung size naman natin. It says here 889 MB. So, bakit ganon, no? Both have the exact same range, both have the exact same resolution. Bakit mas mataas ngayon ang AVI RAW natin compared dito sa sequence? Now, basically kasi sa AVI RAW, it's a super dense na file type talaga, no? So, kahit sobrang bababa lang naman yung duration ng video natin dyan, guaranteed palagi na sobrang taas ng magiging file size yan. So, possible pa yan kung umaabot pa yan ng 20 seconds plus or more, most likely aabot pa yan ng ilang gig, no? As you can see right now, it's only 5 seconds and it's currently just 889 MB, no? So, pwede pang tumaas yan. Depende sa gaano katagal yung duration ng video nyo. So, if we kept the entire 17 seconds dun sa video natin kanina, most likely, ubos na agad ang memory nyo, lalo na kapag laptop ang gamit nyo. So, instead of using AVI, pupunta tayo kay sequence na lang, no? Because 3ds Max, when we're gonna be using motion tracking, pwede natin gamitin tong image sequence din natin, no? We can basically load up any of these videos here, and then we can just use that as our footage, no? It will work the exact same way. There's no particular difference whatsoever. So, we're just gonna be deleting our AVI folder na, and then let's move onward with this sequence para sa ating demo. Okay, now that we're back na dito sa 3ds Max, let's of course start doing our demo proper, no? So, again, balik ulit tayo dito sa utilities natin. And again, if you did what I did, na diretso kagad tayo sa Blender, nandito ulit kagad tayo sa camera tracking natin. Again, if you still don't remember how to do that, punta tayo kay More, and then dito lang tayo kay Camera Tracker. And then just press OK, and you should be good, no? Mag-open tong mga panibagong mga tabs natin dito, no? So, we're just gonna be going here diretso na sa movie file natin. Let's just click on this one. And then, in this particular case, hahanapin ngayon natin dito yung image sequence na ni-render natin, no? So, balik lang tayo kay CGI demo. And then, open lang natin sa sequence. Now, yung sa-select nyo lang dito, you can just basically select yung first frame natin dito. So, specifically, this particular one right here, no? So, yung 0000 ko dyan. So, in this case right here, just select that one. And then, click nyo tong load as sequence natin dyan, no? So, make sure naka-check yan. And then, let's just press open. And then, just click OK lang tayo dyan. Okay naman na tayo dyan. Starting frame. Ending frame natin, 149. Okay, everything is all good, no? So, let's press OK. And we are good. Now, currently, medyo may konting minsan may bug tayo dito, but this one is easily fixable. So, ang gagawin lang natin para makita nyo lang yung buong video natin dito. If you scroll down right here, hanapin nyo si movie stepper. This one right here. Automatic naman nakabukas na yan. No? So, movie stepper right here. Increase nyo lang yung frame nyo by 1 and then balik lang siya sa 0. And then as you can see right here, this is our entire footage. No? So, ito yung full resolution natin. And then as you can see right here, makikita na natin yung overall na gagamitin natin na video, no? So, before we continue onwards, since nalagay naman na natin yung ating footage natin dito, let's just set up na rin yung time configuration natin dito. Because and one good practice when you're gonna be doing CGI is alamin nyo na kagad yung mga frames na kailangan nyo. No? So, in this particular case, again, we're working with a very specific time range. Specifically, 5 seconds lang tayo dito. Or frame 0 until frame 149, no? So, balik tayo dyan, no? So, time configuration tayo. Let's just set up our starting time and end time natin dito. So, again, okay naman na yung starting time natin which is 0. And time natin is gawin natin itong 149 para yung render natin mamaya and then yung pag-animate natin ng camera for this specific tracking, madali na natin siyang ma-apply kagad. So, let's press OK on this one and we are good, no? So, okay na tayo sa setup, okay na tayo sa time configuration, nakalagay na rin dito yung video natin dito. Let's get started with the tracking proper, no? Now, a little bit of a disclaimer at first then, no? Now, yung camera tracking natin dito, if you're gonna be working professionally, okay lang din naman na gawin nyo siya sa mga 3D software nyo, no? There are numerous workflows na ginagawa ng mga ibang industry. Depende na lang yan talaga sa kung ano yung current existing na workflow na ginagamit ng isang company. But if you're just working on this solo, you can try this one as well, no? Yung para mabilisan lang siya, no? Because of course, if you're working with freelance, you have to move fast talaga, no? You have to move fast, and then of course, while moving fast as well, we have to maintain yung overall quality natin. And of course, okay naman yung magiging quality natin with 3ds Max, no? Specifically sa motion tracking, it's okay, no? It's a little bit outdated, but more or less, it gets the job done, no? Maganda rin naman yung nagiging results natin dito. So, paano yung tracking, no? So, if you already done MD video, more or less, nag-tracking na rin kayo siguro with basic After Effects, no? The only difference right here, unlike sa After Effects na meron tayong option na mag-auto-track, no? For 3ds Max, wala tayong option na gano'n, no? So, mano-mano tayo maglalagay ng tracking, no? So, what I'm gonna be doing now is I'm gonna be showing you how to track something, and then, of course, bibigay ko yung thought process ko on how tracking works, no? So, in this case right here, sa camera tracker natin, let's just scroll down right here. And then may makikita kayo ditong motion tracks, no? So, hanapin nyo lang si motion trackers. This one right here sa pinakababa. Ayan, si motion trackers dito, no? So, dito sa motion trackers natin, let's just click on new tracker. And then dito sa window natin na to, may magpa-pop up dito na parang crosshair, no? This one right here, ito yung tracker natin. So, this particular icon natin dito, we're just gonna be placing this one to certain points sa video natin dito. Now, ano yung mga certain points na yun? It's entirely dependent dun sa video nyo. Now, for my specific example right here, may makikita kayo dito, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, total of 9 dots dito sa paper ko dito, no? So, this one is a very simple na basic tracking na exercise, no? So, kaya may dots ako dito, this is basically what I want to track for my video, no? So, ito yung mga locations kung saan ko ilalagay dapat yung mga trackers ko. So, sa case natin dito, the whole thing that you need to remember when you're gonna be tracking something, you need to track something na kitang-kita kagad and basically noticeable kagad siya dun sa video natin and hindi siya constantly nawawala, no? So, it needs to be consistent, no, so to speak. So, in this particular case here, itong case naman natin dito, yung mga dots natin, of course, they're going to be very consistent. So, lalagay lang natin siya to any of the dots right here. No? So, lagyan natin to siguro dito sa top left corner natin dito. And then, once we're done with this one, let's click on new tracker kasi maglalagay tayo dito ng ilang trackers dito. Now, the thing with motion tracking, the more trackers, the better, no? Kasi more data na ginagamit yung marami tayong data na mabibigay dun sa 3ds Max natin para maging accurate yung tracking natin, no? More or less naman, yung tracking naman ng 3ds Max, it's actually pretty good, no? Meron lang siyang at times na kapag medyo mahaba-haba yung footage natin na medyo naliligaw na yung mga ibang trackers natin doon, no? Currently right now, most likely hindi naman natin hindi natin ma-experience yun. But in case na mangyari man yung gano'n na may nawawala na tracker, it's actually super easy, no? Because sa case natin dito, like let's say, tapusin lang muna natin to, no? And then pakita ko sa inyo kung paano tayo nagta-troubleshoot ng mga trackers. Like for example, nawala sila bigla, no? So in this particular case right here, lagay lang tayo, new tracker lang yan, sunod-sunod lang yan, new tracker, and then we're gonna be placing the middle of the crosshair into our dots right here, no? So say, yun nga ang goal natin, yun ang itatrack natin para madaling natin siya maayos sa ating scene, no? So once everything's all done, yung first troubleshooting natin dito, I might not be able to showcase it yun, but in this particular case, like for example, no? Gusto na nating i-save na yung buong tracking system natin dito, yung mga trackers natin, no? But let's say once we are scrolling down yung sa natin sa buong time frame natin dito sa timeline natin, may nawala bigla na tracker, no? So in this particular case right here, ang gagawin nyo lang, hanapin nyo lang yung tracker na nawawala. So let's say for example, sa frame 2 natin, no? Bigla nawala siya. Itong frame 2 pala, sa tracker 2 pala natin, bigla siya nawala on a certain frame, no? Ang gagawin nyo lang, of course, hanapin nyo lang dito sa tracker list natin dito, nasaan yung yung tracker na yun. So again, let's say, for example natin dito, ang tracker na nawawala, tracker 2. Select nyo lang yung tracker na nawawala, and then may mapapansin kayo ditong green na square dito, no? If you look closely enough, may makikita kayo ditong green na square natin dito, no? Yung green na square na yon, that's basically the indicator kung nasaan yung tracker natin na yon. And kahit nawawala yung visual ng tracker natin na yon, always magpapakita to, no? So once magpakita yan, simply select yung general area kung nasaan yon, and then just simply move it around, no? More or less yung bug naman nangyayari, it's more or less a bug na nangyayari dito sa 3ds Max when it comes to motion tracking, but it's a very uncommon na occurrence, no? Kung mangyari sa inyo yon, at least alam niyo na kagad yung gagawin. Just select yung problem na tracker natin, and then just simply move it around a bit until makita niyo yung tracker na icon natin. But more or less, again, it's a pretty much uncommon bug at this point, no? So you don't really need to worry about that much, no? Most based on my experience, ang nakikita kong factor kung kailan nag-occur yung bug na yun is kung medyo mahaba-haba yung footage nyo. So that's why in this particular case, let's just try to shorten things out lang muna sa natin dun sa footage natin para iwas tayo sa mga ganun na mga klaseng tracking, no? Usually ang ginagawa sa sa professional workflow, you do your tracking, like for example sa After Effects, you usually do that, and then saka nyo siya ilipat sa 3ds Max or sa kung anumang software niyan, because we have the option to basically save those trackers dun sa video natin. But ang whole idea sa lesson natin dito is mainly let's keep it all in 3ds Max because yun lang naman ang tinuturo namin. But yun nga, that's completely up to you, no? But in this particular case, okay na tayo sa trackers natin dito. If you want to add more trackers, like for example, yung sa mga tips ng paper natin dito, sure, go ahead. You might want to add that, no? But in terms of substance natin dito, itong 9 na dots natin dito, itong 9 na trackers natin na dito, they are pretty much all good naman na at this point, no? So, once we are completely done here, ang next natin na order of business dito is we are going to be saving our trackers for our video right here, no? Para every time that we import our video right here, always meron na kagad tayong save dito ng trackers natin. So let's move onward to that one. Now, to basically save yung mga trackers natin dito, it's basically balik tayo dito kay movie stepper natin. So again, motion trackers, movie stepper. So punta tayo dito kay movie stepper. Now, dito sa movie stepper, you're gonna be seeing this one right here. It says here, feature tracking. No? Click nyo lang tong off natin dito. Basically, we're gonna be turning it on. No? So, click nyo lang yan. And then dito habang naka-turn on tong feature tracking natin dito, the whole process here is you basically move your video frame by frame. You're basically going to view kung meron bang naliligaw na track dito. Basically, ito na yung nangyayari sa sinasabi ko sa troubleshooting kanina. Kapag ginagalaw na natin yung frame natin and habang tinatrack na siya, dito nyo makikita kung natatrack nga ba talaga sila, no? Or kung may nami-misplace. Kapag may nami-misplace, usually ang mangyayari dyan, let's say at 38, mayroon dito na-misplace, no? Before you move onward to the next one, you make sure na i-readjust nyo siya, no? But sa case naman natin dito, it's pretty much good tracking naman siya all more or less, no? So, we can just continue onward, no? So, let's move onward here. And then until matapos tayo dun sa entire na video natin dito. Now, if wala kayong patience to work frame by frame, number one, you should definitely have patience for that, no? Kasi mas effective yon. But let's say yun nga, you don't have the patience, and alam nyo naman sa tingin nyo sa tracking nito, you're pretty much confident with the tracking here. You can also do this one right here, no? Yung by 10 yung forwards natin dito. You can do that. By 10 sila para fast forward yung pag-tracking natin. Or, if you're really, really confident sa tracking natin, you can easily click this one right here. Ito, basically, if a fast forward niya until to the last frame. The whole problem with this one right here, itong pag fast forward natin dito, we have no control na dun sa mga previous frames natin. Kailangan talaga natin balikan yon, no? So, if you're really confident with this one at this point, you can just click on fast forward. So I'm just gonna be doing that because yun nga, super confident naman ako dito sa tracking ng 3ds Max. More or less, okay naman siya. It's good, no? Because as you can see right here, ang linis naman ang tracking niya, no? So, let's just wait for the overall tracking to finish. Again, this one, entirely dependent yan kung gaano katagal yung video natin, kung gaano katagal matatapos yung tracking. Okay, so more or less, okay na yung tracking natin because as you can see right here, while I was talking, if you're looking at my screen right now, if you were looking at the screen while I was talking, mapapansin nyo, hindi naman gumalaw yung mga trackers natin dito. Well, technically gumalaw sila, no? But they are pretty much still hooked dun sa mga dots natin dito. Or in this case, yung mga anchor points natin dito or yung mga tracker points natin, no? So, if you're working with this, if you're working off of this specific video, congratulations, nakagawa na kayo ng first track nyo. But if you're working with your own videos, again, just try to find things that are very noticeable kagad, no? Yung alam nyong sa tingin nyong consistent dun sa overall video natin para consistent yung tracking natin, no? But more or less, this is pretty much the end of our motion tracking, no? Okay na tayo dito sa video natin. Mamaya, babalikan ulit natin yan, no? Because the next portion of our discussion ngayon, or of our demo, is we're basically going to be setting up our scene na. Okay na tayo sa back-end natin dito. Well, more or less, tapos na tayo doon. Meron pa tayong kailangan gawin sa trackers natin, but in terms of the majority of it, okay na tayo sa tracking, no? Ang kailangan na natin gawin dito is we need to set up our scene. So, let's just turn off yung feature tracking natin because we are all set for this one. And then, let's move forward in adjusting our camera and of course, our entire scene to match our starting frame. Okay, so to start setting up our entire scene, okay naman na tayo dito sa natin, sa overall na tracking natin. Let's just close out of this one. And then, let's go to our animation, no? So, not animations, dito sa views natin, no? Because what we're gonna be doing next is, we're gonna be importing yung video natin, or at least, yung ano lang natin, at least yung pinakahalos kailangan natin dito is yung itsura ng starting frame natin. But more or less, kailangan talaga natin dito yung video natin para makikita na rin kaagad natin yung result natin dito sa viewport natin. So, punta muna tayo kay views. And then, punta tayo dito kay Viewport Background, okay? And then, let's go to our Configure Viewport Background. And then, what we're going to be doing next is, dito sa window natin dito, we're going to be clicking on Use Files. And then, we're going to be, sa aspect ratio natin dito, let's match our bitmap, no? And then, let's make sure Animate Background is also checked right here kasi video file yung ilalagay natin dito. So, in this particular case, if you want to use yung ano nyo, yung AVI file nyo, pwede rin din naman yan. But more or less, kaano yan dyan, yung kailangan nyo lang dun yung pinaka-starting na, dito, yung pinaka-starting frame lang kailangan natin dito. So, let's just click on files natin dito and then let's just try to find yung gusto natin dito na file. Okay, so what I'm basically gonna be using is, ito lang ulit yung sequence ulit natin. So, again, it doesn't really matter kung still frame lang yung gusto nyo dyan or yung sequence. Kung gusto nyo makita yung overall video natin dito, of course, let's load it as sequence, no? So again, just like last time, gawin lang natin yung starting frame. Then make sure check lang natin dito load as sequence. And then let's press open on this one. And then let's make sure okay lang tayo dyan. And then everything's okay. And then let's press okay. And then there we go. Pansin nyo, ito na yung background natin dito. So nakikita na natin yung still frame natin dito. And then mangyayaring dito, if you want to play your video, just simply play lang tong next frame natin dito. This one right here. Click on this one. So you can see, gumagalaw naman yung video natin dito. It cannot exactly work dito sa timeline natin dito kapag ini-scrub natin yan, hindi natin yan makikita. So we have to work with this one right here. No? So Balik lang muna tayo sa starting frame natin, which is frame 0. And then what we're gonna be doing next is mag-a-add tayo ng camera. No? So let's go to our Create tab. Now, if we go to our Create tab, magkakaroon kayo ng option dito. It says here, Max Script, do you want to save tracker state? Let's just click on yes on that one. No? Para yun nga, permanently nakasave na yung motion trackers natin dun sa video natin. And then, we just need to re-import it later. Makikita nyo, nandun na ulit yung mga motion trackers natin. So, just click on yes. No? Now, balik dito tayo sana natin, no? Sa ating perspective view. So, again, kailangan natin dito is yung camera. No? Specifically, ang kailangan natin dito, free camera. I tried it out with the other cameras, no? Like for example, physical camera, physical tsaka target natin dito. I mean, target and free, they're pretty much the exact same, no? But in this particular case, physical doesn't exactly work well, but free camera does, no? So let's just click on free camera, and then let's just add it into our scene right here. Now, yung placement natin dito sa camera na to, we need to have this one at least a little bit far away dito sa grid plane natin dito. Because itong grid plane natin dito, gagamitin natin to as our floor for our entire scene, no? Basically, let's just think of this one as our paper, no, later on. Ganun din yung magiging thinking nyo sa ginagamit nyo na footage ngayon. You're basically gonna be using this particular grid as the actual floor of both the IRL footage and of course the 3D element that you're gonna be adding, no? So, in this case right here, let's just have it rotate natin siya ng let's say 90 degrees right here para tutok tayo dyan. And then, let's just move this one a little bit backwards, no? Ayusin din natin yan. So, because ang gagawin natin ngayon next is we're gonna be going sa ating camera view dito, no? So, dito sa natin, sa isang viewport natin dito, by pressing Alt-W, gawin natin tong camera. And then makikita natin dito, nasaan ba yung grid natin dito. So we just need to overall see lang yung natin, yung overall na grid natin. This one right here, we just need to see this one, no? So tutok nyo lang doon yung camera nyo, and then once overall nakikita nyo na yung buong grid natin dito, we can get started with overall setting up our entire scene dito, no? So, this case right here, let's go to our camera view by pressing C. As you can see right here, kitang-kita naman natin yung grid natin dito. Now, next, ang gagawin natin ngayon is balik ulit tayo kay utilities. And then, what we're gonna be doing next here is we're gonna be using perspective match, because what we want here is this particular grid natin dito, at least match siya dun sa perspective ng camera natin. It doesn't have to be super accurate, just at least a close match dun sa perspective ng video nyo. So, click natin si perspective match, and then once you click that, mababago yung controls natin dito. It says here, perspective match controls. Click naman natin tong show vanishing lines. So, there we go. So, itong show vanishing lines, magkakaroon kayo ng mga ilang lines dito, no? So, itong lines natin dito, these particular lines, itong red, ito yung x-axis natin, the greens are the y-axis, and then the z, the blue ones right here, ito yung z-axis natin, no? The z-axis, we don't really need this one. Ang kailangan lang natin dito is yung red tsaka yung green natin, no? So what you're gonna be doing next is pick any of the lines, specifically, let's say itong red natin dito, itong sa mga x-axis natin dito. Just click on the lines here, and then what you're gonna be doing is you're just gonna be matching yung perspective ng ilang portions natin sa camera natin. So in this case right here, ang i-match ko na perspective na lang is this particular camera, kasi ito yung naka-noticeable dito, no? Pero halatang-halata na kagad dito yung perspective natin. So I'm just gonna be aligning the points right here according dun sa points natin dito sa sa paper natin dito. So I'm just gonna match that. And then, don't worry, huwag kayo masyadong mag-alala dito sa kung ba't nagkakaganyan yan. Don't worry, ang intindihin nyo lang dito is yung papel lang muna natin dito. And then, just simply left-click lang tayo dyan. Left-click, and then hold nyo lang yan para madrag natin. Now, just simply match lang tayo dyan sa perspective, no? And then, let's move on to the green ones. This one right here, lagyan natin to dito. And then this one right here, let's say connect natin siya dyan. There we go. And then this one right here, let's connect it right here. And then let's connect this one right there. Okay, so there we go, no? And then if we try to drag our grid right here, as you can see right here, more or less, it's a close match na dun sa paper natin, no? Granted, hindi siya exactly filled in dito, but that's completely fine. Ang kailangan lang natin dito is overall, yung perspective natin, ma-match dun sa camera natin dito sa natin, sa camera ng video natin, no? So, more or less, it's a good, na dito, it's a good na recreation na dun sa perspective natin. So, we are pretty much good na dito sa perspective, no? Ang mangyayari lang dito, when we're gonna be adding our 3D elements, every time that we're gonna be adding something, it's always guaranteed, naka-place palagi siya dito sa natin, dito sa ating grid natin. So, every time that we're gonna be adding something, guaranteed, nakapatong siya talaga dito, no? So, nandun na yung magiging illusion natin, no? So, once everything is all good sa perspective natin, like, we can hide yung vanishing lines ulit natin. And then, let's go back sa Create tab natin. Because what we're gonna be doing next is, we're gonna be finalizing our motion tracking. What we're gonna be doing next is, while yung overall na motion tracking natin do sa video, na-track na natin yung overall motion natin, we need to tell 3ds Max na there is an actual presence sa scene natin ng mga trackers, no? So, what better way to do that is we're gonna be adding some camera helpers, no? Yung mga camera match na helpers na tinatawag natin. Yung mga camera match helpers na yon, yun yung mag-act as our trackers, no? So, basically, lahat ng mga trackers na nilagay nyo dun sa scene nyo, we're gonna be adding something done. We're gonna be adding a specific object for us to tell 3ds Max na okay, there is a specific helper or there's a specific tracker in this particular location sa video natin, no? So, let's move onwards to that one. Okay, so to add yung mga camera match na helpers natin, we're gonna be going back again sa Create tab natin one final time. And then what we're gonna be doing next is punta dito tayo kay helpers, no? This one right here. So, let's just click on this one. And then, dito sa mga selection natin dito, select natin to. And then, select natin tong si camera match. Now, dito sa kay camera match, isa lang naman yan. Itong si camera point natin dito. Or tawag ko dyan, camera match helper, no? So, click natin yan. And then, basically, what we're gonna be doing next is, hahanapin nyo ngayon dito kung nasaan yung mga yung mga natin, kung saan nyo pinaglalagay yung mga trackers nyo. So, in this particular case, maganda dito na alam nyo na talaga dito kung saan natin nilalagay yung mga trackers natin. Again, if you're working with a different footage, again, just simply remember or take note prior kung saan yung nilagay yung mga trackers natin. More or less, kailangan lang naman doon is yung close na pinaka-closeness or rough location lang naman ng tracker na yon. So, in this particular case, if you're using my video, halata naman na dyan kung saan natin ilalagay yung mga camera point helpers natin. So, just click on the dots right here. Again, guaranteed naman nasa plane naman na yan, no? Sa grid natin yan. So, automatic, dito lang niya ilalagay yan, no? So, let's just, while camera point is enabled, left click tayo dyan. If you don't know how to hide your grid, just press G. And then, just click lang tayo doon sa mga dots natin. Mag-add tayo ng camera point helper. 1. Then ito for tracker 2. This one for tracker 3. Tracker 4. Tracker 5. Tracker 6. This one right here. Tracker 7. Tracker 8. And then tracker 9. Again, if you're using a different footage, again, you're just gonna have to find the general location kung saan nyo nilagay yung mga trackers nyo, no? More or less, if you're using my footage, madali lang yan, no? So, in this case right here, we are pretty much good na dito sa camera point natin. And then, we are pretty much done na sa sa overall setup natin dito. The only thing left to do now is basically assign these particular helpers natin dito, itong mga camera points natin, into our trackers, no? So, going back to our utilities one final time. Let's go to more and then change natin yan to camera tracker. And then, let's import our footage back again para makita lang natin kung tama ba yung mga pinaglalagay natin dito. Let's try to import again yung footage natin dito. Let's just press open. There we go. If we go back sa ating movie stepper, let's just move this one frame forward, one frame backward. There we go. More or less, nagaya naman natin yung trackers natin dito, no? So, it's pretty much good na at this point. Again, if you're working with a different footage, entirely dependent na yan sa kung paano nyo yan. Make sure, again, it's pretty much noticeable, no? Noticeable, madali siya ma-select, no? So, everything is all good na at this point, no? So, we can just close this one up. And then, once na-verify na natin na okay na lahat ng mga tracker location natin and tracker na camera points natin, what we need to do now is, dito kay motion trackers, we're gonna be selecting each and every single one of our trackers here and then gonna be assigning a corresponding camera point, no? So, let's say a tracker 1, select natin yan. And then dito sa motion trackers natin, dito sa scene object, let's just click on none right here. And we're going to be selecting the corresponding tracker. So in this particular case, I just followed the exact same na setup na ginawa ko dun sa tracking natin kanina. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No? So in that specific order. No? So select lang natin yung corresponding na trackers mo. Again, kailangan same na ano sila. No? Dapat same na trackers. So kung yung tracker dapat nandito, dapat yun yung i-assign natin dito. No? So tracker 2. Click natin itong scene object, select natin itong si cam point 2, tracker 3, again, rinse and repeat lang yan until malagay na natin lahat ng mga corresponding na ano natin dito na items natin dito, no? Yung camera helpers natin dito. So, camera 6, next, tracker 7, cam 7, then last two, tracker 8, cam 8, and then tracker 9, cam 9. Okay. So, once na-set up na natin yung mga trackers natin and na-assign na natin yung mga cam points natin to their specific na trackers natin, the only thing left to do now is we need to tell our camera tracker na script natin dito na we have an existing camera already dito sa scene natin, which is yung free camera natin dito. So, we can start animating our entire footage, no, or yung camera natin dito. Basically, ang nangyayari dito, yung magiging camera tracking natin dito, once you're pretty much done with everything here, ang mangyayari na lang dito is i-animate na lang natin yung camera, and yung animation ng camera na yan, it will entirely rely dun sa mga motion trackers natin, pati rin itong mga helpers natin dito. So, click na natin si camera dito sa match move, then punta tayo kay none, and then let's select our camera right here. Select natin yan. And then there we go, naka-assign na yung camera natin dito. Now, before we do anything, para hindi lang natin masira yung overall na setup natin dito, make sure turn off lang natin si FOV. That's our field of view, no? So, turn off lang natin yan. And also, we need to match yung frame count natin dito. So, yung total na frame count natin dito should be 150, no? So, gawin natin itong 150 kasi 0 until 149, that is 150 frames, no? Kapag naiiba tayo dyan, kapag hindi nyo ma-access to, let's say nagta-type kayo to a specific na time configuration, hindi siya matanggal-tanggal, ang gagawin nyo is make sure double check nyo muna yung time configuration nyo kung tama ba yung ending time nyo. Kapag tama yung ending time nyo, click nyo lang tong reset ranges and then you can just retype it again, no? So, and then magpa-pop up naman na yun. So, everything is all good right here. Okay na tayo sa 150 frames na frame count natin. Everything is all good. Everything is all set up. Click na lang natin tong si match move and then let the script run its course. By run its course, like literally few seconds lang yan. Because if we click our camera right now, pansin nyo, nagkaroon na tayo ng mga keyframes. And as you can see right here, if we open up our grid, as you can see right here, nag-animate na yung camera natin according dun sa footage natin dito. No? So you can see right here, more or less, ito yung footage natin dito. Okay na tayo. We're pretty much done. Na-setup na natin yung camera tracker natin. Na-animate na rin natin yung camera via yung motion trackers natin. The only thing left to do now is, of course, adding our 3D elements. So, in this particular case natin dito, balik tayo kay Create tab. One final time. Then let's press yes to save our tracker state. Wag na kayo masyadong mag-alala for that one because you see right here, the camera is still animating. Wala na tayong purpose dito sa motion trackers natin. Everything is all useless na aside from our camera. The only thing left to do now is, of course, adding our 3D elements. So let's just add a basic teapot. And then we are pretty much done sa ating demo natin dito. No? The only thing left to do, of course, is we just need to set up a proper scene. So, bigyan ko na lang kayo ng konting tutorial kung paano usually sineset up ang pag-add ng 3D elements into a IRL footage, no? So in this case right here, meron tayong teapot, no? So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be adding a basic shadow catcher. So in this case right here, I'm going to be going back na lang sa perspective ko para hindi na ako nahihilo dito sa camera view ko. Ang kailangan ko lang tandaan dito is yung grid lang natin dito, no? So, reselecting my plane. And then I'm just gonna make this one as big as I can, no? Kasi bibigyan natin to ng konting lighting as well, no? Using physical sun and sky, no? So there we go. Meron tayong malaking plane tayo dyan. So there we go. Okay na yung plane natin dyan. Let's just add a simple material. So let's press M to open our material editor. Let's add a standard physical material for our teapot. And then we're gonna be adding a different material naman dito sa plane natin. Now, before we add a material dito sa plane natin, we need to set up this proper plane first, no? Para maka-receive siya ng tamang data para visually accurate yung ipapakita niya na shadows, no? Kasi ang mangyayari dito, ang purpose ng plane natin dito, it's basically acting out as our ground plane, no? So in this case kasi, we don't need to have this particular plane visible sa render natin. Kasi kapag kita-kita natin itong plane natin dito, basically, lalapatan lang niya yung portion ng footage natin, no? And again, we don't want to see that, no? Gusto ko lang naman makita itong particular na shot ko dito. Ayoko makita yung plane na yun. Gusto ko itong teapot para nakapatong lang siya dito sa papel ko, no? So I want to see that, no? I don't want to see this plane, no? But kapag teapot lang yung nakalagay dito, hindi siya magpapakita ng shadow, no? Kahit ganong kadaming lights ang ilagay nyo, hindi magpapakita yung shadows because there is no plane to receive yung shadow. So in this particular case, gagamit tayo ng shadow catcher. So balik tayo kay material editor. And then let's search two things, no? So gawa tayo ng matte shadow or search lang to si shadow. Search and shadow, dalawa yung magkakaroon ng search na result dito. Matte/shadow and then shadow matte. Lagay lang natin pareho yan sa material editor natin. And then, what we're gonna be doing is, itong shadow matte natin, this one right here, shadow matte, i-connect natin yan dito sa matte/shadow or yung tinatawag ko na shadow catcher material. And then, I'm gonna be adding this one dun sa plane ko. Now, at first, wala kayong makikitang any sort of na difference dito, no? That's completely fine. Punta tayo high quality. Pansin nyo, nawawala na yung plane natin, no? But if we try to add some light dito, like for example, add tayo ng a basic na physical sun and sky. Let's just add a basic physical sun and sky. Lagay lang tayo dyan. And then let's add a physical exposure control. There we go. Let's go to, let's say, 14 exposure value. Para medyo dim lang to. And then if we try to render this one out, you'll see, meron tayong shadow dito. Now, itong nakikita nyo yung current na plane dito, huwag kayo masyadong mag-alala dyan. That is not the actual plane natin because the plane is actually invisible, no? So, in this particular case, makikita nyo na lang yan mamaya if we start to render, no? So, actually, i-render ko na siya. Render ko lang tong sample na shot natin dito. Save image ko lang yan. And then, I'm just gonna be rendering a random one dito sa desktop ko, no? .png ko lalagyan para makita nyo na it's basically just an HDRI yung physical sun and sky ko, and it's not the plane itself. Kasi kung plane yan, makikita natin yan sa render. But, if we save that one now, and then pakita ko sa inyo lang yung naging render natin, it's basically this one right here. Ito na yung render natin, no? Now, currently, may kita tayong medyo illumination natin dito, but that's completely fine naman, no? Basta nakikita nyo itong mga dark spots natin dito, that's basically a transparency na thing na dito sa shot natin dito. So, mawawala din yan kapag in-incorporate na natin yan sa IRL footage natin. No? Hindi na masyadong mahalata pala yan at be specific no, sa render natin dito. So, more or less, ito yung shot natin. No? So, in this case right here, okay na, gumagana yung shadow catcher natin. But, we just need to do a couple more things first. Specifically, dapat itong shadow natin dito, it needs to act like a shadow because in this particular case right here, pansin nyo, meron tayong parang reflection. No? Kitang-kita natin yung may parang konting korte ng teapot natin dito. No? So, there is a little bit of a reflection right here. No? Now, if you want to remove that kind of property dito sa plane natin, what we're gonna be doing is selecting our plane again, and then dito tayo sa modifier list, search natin tong si Arnold properties, okay? So, dito kay Arnold properties, what we're gonna be doing is check natin tong si shadows, and then gawin natin dito is turn off natin si cast shadows, and then turn off natin si self shadows. And that is pretty much it. Okay na lahat tayo sa setup ng shadow catcher natin. Wala na yung magiging reflection natin dito. So, everything is all good. Everything is all set up naman na. The only thing left to do now is we need to render our entire sequence and then into our video editor na, no? So again, just to bit of a recap, I'm not gonna be showing yung full render natin. To render this one out, let's go to our render setup. So press nyo lang si F10. Press F10 to open our render setup. And then let's go to our range. And then gawin natin to 0 to 149. We're gonna be rendering everything, no? So kailangan lang natin dito tandaan, when you're gonna be rendering out your 3D elements na, para ma-incorporate nyo na sa IRL footage nyo, make sure the resolution is matching dun sa IRL footage nyo. So, in this case right here, yung resolution ko is 1920 by 1080. So, I just need to select that one. Punta tayo kay save file. And then, let's just save this one again. Dun sa isang folder ulit natin, no? So, let's just go to our CGI demo. Let's create a new folder. Let's say, I'm gonna be doing is finished sequence. Then, lagay na lang natin siya dyan. There we go. And then, change natin yung format natin. Again, we don't want a VI file for this one. Guys, if you're gonna be incorporating 3D elements like this one, never kayo gagamit ng AVI, no? Because we need to keep yung transparency nito. Okay? So, again, kailangan natin dito PNG, no? Always PNG tayo for 3D elements sa CGI, no? So, gawin natin PNG image. And then, kayo na bala sa file name. So, I'm just gonna name this one ganyan lang, no? So, there we go. And then, click lang natin save. Make sure lang okay na tayo dyan. Let's click save. And then, press lang natin si okay. And then, just click on render. And then, just wait for the entire render to finish. Actually, before we actually start yung ano pala natin dito, I forgot to do something para medyo malinis itsura ng render natin, no? So, let's just cancel our render. Cancel ko lang to, no? Before I do anything, before I actually render, para maganda lang yung itsura ng render natin, let's go to our Arnold render view. And then, let's just try to render one more time, no? Render lang natin ng isang beses. And then, let's just wait for this one to render. And then what we're gonna be doing is mag-add lang tayo ng basic na denoiser na lang, no? It's not exactly necessary, but if you want to at least have a little bit of a cleaner na render, pwede natin tayo maglagay dito ng denoiser. So, lagyan lang ng basic na denoiser optics, and then that is pretty much it, no? Okay naman na tayo dito, no? So, just let this render finish rendering. There we go. Okay na tayo dyan. Now, the only thing left to do now is balik ulit tayo sa render setup natin dito. Let's just delete yung current na renders natin dito. As you can see right here, delete lang natin yan. We don't need these. So, there we go. Let's just, yeah, there we go. Save ulit natin yan. And then, let's just click on render again. And then, let the render finish rendering. Now, makikita nyo dito yung render natin sa Arnold render view because may denoiser optics na tayo, no? So, just wait for this one to render. And that's pretty much it, no? After this particular render is done, we can then hop on to sa video editor nyo, and then you're gonna be adding yung IRL footage nyo, and then of course, just add this particular footage natin dito ng 3D element natin as an image sequence if you want to keep yung transparency nga natin dito. Again, we want the transparency present dito sa 3D element na shot natin para properly natin siya ma-view dun sa scene natin. Okay? So, I'm gonna be pausing right here, and then we're gonna be basically moving on next dun sa video editing part natin. Now, at the video editing part natin, again, it doesn't really matter kung ano nang gamitin nyo dyan, whether After Effects or Premiere, as long as, of course, nagagamit nyo yung image sequence. Now, but in this particular case, again, we want to stick with basic 3D softwares, no? So, my whole workaround for that one, if you have no idea how to use Premiere or After Effects, or at least any sort of video editing, but you know how to use Blender, tuturuan ko kayo kung paano natin i-overlap yung IRL footage natin doon and yung finished na 3D element natin dito. So, I'm gonna be pausing right here, and then let's move onwards to that particular portion of our demo. Okay, so going back dito sa Blender, as you can see right here, nandito pa rin yung original footage natin. Because I didn't really exit out, no? So if you didn't exit out as well, you can still keep what you had prior, no? So again, yung ginawa natin dito, this one is the original footage natin, and then convert natin siya into AVI. No? The only thing that we're gonna be doing now here is mag-overlap tayo dito ng panibagong set of footage. Specifically, yung nirender natin na image sequence. No? So, again, we're just basically, isipin nyo na lang ito yung video editor natin. It works the exact same way. No? Because, again, yung entire footage nyo dito, it should be, of course, yung raw na file nyo, yung MOV or yung MP4 nyo or whatever. Basically, ito na yung pinaka-main file nyo. Yung pinaka-main na video file nyo. And then, i-add lang natin yung 3D element natin. So, of course, in this case, kung Premiere yan, import nyo lang yan as image sequence. But in this case right here, let's say sa Blender kayo, punta tayo kay Add, punta tayo kay Image Sequence, and then hanapin lang natin yung kung saan natin nilagay yung render natin dito. I didn't really finish the entire render kasi may already na akong prior na render dito. No? So, ginawa ko na yan. So, in this case right here, it is this one right here, ito, entire scene natin, no? Basically, hanapin nyo lang yung image sequence natin. And then, selecting everything by pressing A. And then, ang gagawin natin, yung starting frame natin dito, of course, we have to match it dun sa 3ds Max natin. So, frame 0 tayo dyan, nag-start tayo. And yung ending frame natin is 149. No? And then, make sure use original size is on as well. And then, okay na tayo dyan. And then, select natin to add image strip. Now, in this particular case, tayo dito, hindi natin exactly ma-review yung video, but trust me on this, makikita nyo kagad yung difference. No? So, in this case right here, guaranteed naman na yan, naka-incorporate na yung video natin dito. Kung Premiere yan, of course, makikita nyo yan. No? But, again, in this case right here, wala kayo, let's say, yung assume natin dito, wala kayong idea how to use Premiere or After Effects, but you do know how to use Blender. So, pwede natin gamitin tong video sequencer. So, in this particular case right here, balik ulit tayo kay output natin. Let's open yung output folder natin dito. And then let's try to save it dun sa CGI folder, CGI demo natin dito. And then let's say ito na yung finished na shot natin. So I'm just gonna name this one finished shot. There we go. And then let's press accept. So there we go. And then change natin yung file format natin. Instead na PNG naman na yan, gawin natin siyang FFmpeg video or MP4 file natin yan. So select natin to. And then open nyo tong sa encoding. Gawin natin dito sa encoding natin sa container. Let's make it MPEG-4 for MP4. And then, okay na tayo for the rest here. Now, everything is all good. Everything is all set. Let's just go to render. And then, let's render our animation. And then, makikita nyo dito. And there we go. There's our video. That's ito yung teapot natin, no? The lighting could be a bit better, but of course, that is completely on you naman na. How do you make it realistic, no? So in this particular case, where this one is rendering, share ko na lang sa inyo kung paano nagiging realistic yung mga renders na yan. Only one word, HDRI, no? So HDRI usually ang gamit natin dito, no? In this particular case right here, most likely sa mga case natin dito, like for example, Hollywood or sa mga various na movie industries, ginagawa nila dito is kinukumukuha sila ng HDRI of the exact same location na pinagshotan ng IRL footage, no? So, basically get a simple na 360 camera na shot natin doon and then use that as your HDRI, no? Para accurate yung lighting natin, no? In this case right here, medyo fake siya, no? Halatang fake siya, no? But, more or less, it's a good start for a basic tracking demo. So, there we go. If we exit out here, no, and then open lang natin yung CGI demo na folder ko, and then let's play it out. There we go, no? Ito siya. There we go, no? Finish shot. There we go. And then if we open this up, there we go. We have a total of 5 seconds worth of footage with 3D elements incorporated sa IRL footage natin. There we go. So if you followed along, congratulations, you've created your first CG shot and you're on your way to your professional CG career, no? Of course, with a ton of practice, makakagawa pa kayo ng mas marami pang klaseng outputs, no? But more or less, this is the entire discussion for this meeting, no? So, if you followed along this far, congratulations, you have cleared all of our discussions in 3DANI. Of course, kung students kayo, congratulations, kasi nga tapos na kayo. But, if you're not one of my students and you have a different instructor, of course, check nyo muna kung meron pa kayong kailangan aralin, no? Or kung may kailangan discuss. But more or less, this is the final discussion na. So, congratulations. You've done it. Move on na kayo sa final. So, let's move on na lang sa finals natin. And then, I'll be seeing you all next time na lang.